Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive day. I'm just enjoying this beautiful Philadelphia weather, man. I figured I'd tap in with y'all on the road to 3K. We well into the 2,900 mark, about to hit that 3K mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. All right, y'all, we're gonna have an honest conversation about Turki Al-Sheikh and exactly what's been going on, you know what I mean, since his recent statements. You feel what I mean? I've seen that, he's building up the fight, or at least, revealing more details between the big fight that's going to be going on between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. You feel what I'm saying? He announced that, it's going to be taking place in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? I don't think he's necessarily named like a arena yet, or a stadium at least, that is going to be going down there. But nonetheless, the location is going to be Las Vegas, Nevada. And it'll be streaming on Netflix, which is a beautiful thing. I just hope that it doesn't have the technical difficulties that it did at one point in time when Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fought on there. You feel what I mean? So hopefully they made some adjustments and they'll be able to bounce back better, because, the reception and, the technical difficulties that was going on that day was very disruptive. You feel what I'm saying? But regardless, that's not what I'm really in here to talk about, man. I want to talk about Turki Al-Sheikh's tweet that he had put out, a little bit after revealing the details between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Now, I don't have the tweet in front of me, so I can't read it verbatim. However, I can paraphrase, pretty much what he said. So he said from now on, you know what I mean, he's not really interested in showcasing fights on Riyadh Season or Ring Magazine that includes, fighters running. You feel what I mean? He said that he's sick of like the Tom and Jerry games and, watching fighters play cat and mouse and all that good shit. So he's not really entertaining that anymore. And a lot of people have been asking my opinion about it. And if you've seen the live last night, you'll know exactly what direction I'm going to be going in. But, just to give you guys, my further, more of my thoughts on it. You know what I mean? I think that this is just Turki Al-Sheikh just falling victim to, these delusional, uneducated boxing fans. You feel what I'm saying? We seeing these big-eyed, ugly motherfuckers with taco hats on, you know what I mean, pushing these bullshit narratives that there needs to be, a no running rule in the sport of boxing. You know what I mean? It's the same dude that I never seen advocate, for, 365 testing. I never seen this dude advocate for, no PED usage. I never seen this dude come out on his channel one time and speak about there being a no racism rule in the sport of boxing. That's things that I just never seen dudes stand for. But apparently, a no running rule needs to be set in place, because that's just so important. Now, it seems like Turki Al-Sheikh is listening to these fans, and he's trying to like support them or whatever the case is. And to be honest with you, bro, I think it's disgusting. You feel what I mean? I genuinely feel like it's disgusting, because what you're doing in the sport of boxing is you're trying to eliminate a style that has been successful for many years. You feel what I'm saying? The outboxer. And to be honest with you, let's just call it what it is. The Black American style. The Black American style you're trying to take away from the sport of boxing, because these guys don't have the abilities necessary to neutralize that style. Let's just keep it all the way 1,000. You know what I'm saying? What people are doing right now is, instead of, encouraging these guys with limited skill set to, go in the gym and prove their craft and learn how to cut off a ring, what they're doing instead is they're trying to take away the recipe from the winning recipe from the winners. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and this is another thing that Turki Al-Sheikh got going on too. And this is why I consider it ironic, because two of the most heavily criticized fighters in the sport of boxing today that's known as being runners, one of them happens to be Devin Haney, and the other one happens to be Shakur Stevenson, right? I think it's all fair to say that we hear criticism about these dudes being runners all the time. Shakur, he was heavily criticized for the Edwin De Los Santos fight, the Nakathila fight. Devin Haney was most recently criticized for the Jose Ramirez performance. You feel what I'm saying? So, I just find it funny that Turki Al-Sheikh is calling out these guys for playing these cat and mouse games. Meanwhile, you got one of them fighters that's heavily criticized for being a runner. You got him scheduled to fight, Jose Cepeda. Oh, wait, no, not Jose Cepeda, William Cepeda. You got him fighting William Cepeda in New York not too long from now. And you just sent out a contract for Devin Haney to fight Ryan Garcia. And Devin Haney has signed the contract. And the only reason why that fight's not coming together is because Teofimo Lopez had pulled out of the negotiations. You feel what I'm saying? Teofimo Lopez pulled out of the negotiations. You sent Devin Haney a contract. He signed it. So obviously, you don't have too much of a problem with these so-called runners that you're speaking about. You're willing to do business with them. And the reality is, if Turki Al-Sheikh is for the sport of boxing like he claims to, then he should be a fan of all styles. You know what I'm saying? I have my preferences just like anybody else. Me personally, Mazuma TV, I have my preferences just like anybody else. Like I told you on the live yesterday, I'm a huge fan of boxer punchers. You feel what I mean? The Tito Trinidad's, the Miguel Cottos, Prime Nicholas Walters, Guillermo Rigondeaux. You know, those were guys that, you know, I really enjoyed. But however, I can appreciate every style. You know what I mean? I have some that I favor over others, but I could appreciate every style. Like the defensive specialists, like I said, Wilfred Benitez, Willie Pett, Floyd Mayweather, James Toney. I can appreciate the counterpunchers, the Juan Manuel Marquez's. I could, you know, the brawlers like Ruslan Provatnikov, you know, James Kirkland. You know, like I could appreciate every single style. And as a boxing fan, you know, it makes sense to do so. But it just seems like, man, the black American fighter is under attack, unfortunately, man. They see that these Mexicans, you know what I'm saying, don't have any type of solutions necessary to neutralize these, you know, outboxers or just like these flat-footed come-forward pressure fighters. They don't even got to necessarily be Mexicans, you feel me? But the black American style is definitely being threatened right now. Turki Al-Sheikh, you over here trying to tell motherfuckers how to fight and you ain't never fight a day in your life. How the fuck you ain't never... Why is it that these dudes who never boxed before are trying to tell motherfuckers how to fight? So Turki Al-Sheikh is dealing with dudes who have been, you know, criticized for attempting to eliminate the Muhammad Ali Act, you know what I mean, which would take away a lot of rights that fighters should have. You feel what I mean? They looking to take that out, Dana White and them. And now you telling fighters how they should fight. So because you putting the money up and you making these events happen, you feel like you should tell fighters how to fight. Let me tell you something, Turki. I'm going to ask you something, actually. I know you ain't watching, but, you know, just for the sake of content. Do you think that Terrence Crawford going to sit in the pocket and just trade with Canelo because you want him to fight a particular style? If you think that, you was a motherfucking fool. There ain't no fucking way Terrence Crawford, who's going to be moving up damn near 3 weight classes to fight Canelo Alvarez, he going to sit there and leave it all in the ring and show heart and pride. If you think that this motherfucker going to sit here and sit in the pocket with Canelo and trade with him, you are a motherfucking fool. And Terrence Crawford will be a motherfucking fool to do it. You feel what I'm saying? So this is completely, like, this is blasphemous, to be honest with you, man. How could you just sit here and tell motherfuckers how they should fight? How about holding your favorite fighters accountable, having them perfect the art of cutting off a ring? They can study former greats who've been able to cut off the ring and be successful against outboxers. You know what I'm saying? We've seen pressure fighters defeat outboxers. We see Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. We seen him do it. We see Roberto Duran do it. You know what I'm saying? In today's era, we seen Inoue do it with Butler. Butler was running for his life around that ring, and Inoue cut the ring off and beat him into submission. David Benavidez, we seen him cut off the ring. I don't see Inoue talking about he not gonna fight motherfuckers because they runners. I don't hear Benavidez coming around talking about he not gonna fight runners or outboxers. You know why? Because they know how to cut off a ring. They have the tools necessary to neutralize that style. You feel what I'm saying? So we need to stop really pushing these, we need to stop the running narrative. No, how about building a motherfucking cut off the ring narrative? How about we focus on that? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't understand why we criticizing people for finding a way to win. I thought that's what the sport was about. That's what I honestly thought the sport was about. You know, doing whatever is necessary or making the adjustments necessary in order to get the W. Floyd Mayweather says true champions are capable of making adjustments. He said something along those lines. You feel what I mean? And so based off of that logic, a lot of these motherfuckers ain't true champions. You know what I'm saying? And the true champions, the ones that's able to box and move and find ways to win, they're the ones that being criticized the most. Y'all are enabling limited fighters to continue being limited instead of perfecting their craft. And it's an absolute disgrace in all honesty, man. You feel what I mean? So Turki Al-Sheikh, you need to knock it the fuck off, man. You know what I mean? I appreciate what you've done for the sport. There was a lot of fights you made happen that probably would have never happened without you. However, you talking a little too much. You know what I mean? Ain't no fucking way you gonna sit around and tell motherfuckers how they need to fight. You feel what I'm saying? You sound absolutely ridiculous. And if you ain't never boxed before or knew what it took to, have these types of abilities, you shouldn't be speaking on that shit at all. You feel what I mean? And that's the thing. If you're gonna be holding motherfuckers accountable for running, how about you hold motherfuckers accountable for not having the tools necessary to get the job done against the Black American style? You feel what I mean? That's my say-so for the day, man. I hope y'all appreciated this content. If y'all did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. This is Mazuma TV. I'll be on live 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Be on the lookout for that. Until then, I hope y'all have a blessed, beautiful day. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.